short-term agenda list and saying, it actually makes a ton of sense. I really like it. In fact, I think most rational Americans would look at Donald Trump's agenda list for his second term and say, it looks pretty good. Notably, draining.
I just want to say, like, does it make sense to look at his agenda and say that's rational, and then look at Donald Trump himself and be like, yeah, that's a rational human being? I already do not trust Tim Pool's subjective experience. Cool. This is a great start.
The swamp, congressional term limits, among many other things. I actually kind of like it.
Ooh.
So let's take a look at these stories. Why aren't the GOP putting out any new...
I think I also remember, like, when I first heard of Tim, that he, like, purported to be, like, some kind of liberal that just didn't really jive with, like, current Democrats, you know? And, like, just, it seemed like he was already starting to lean pro-Trump, like, was constantly defending him. It was strange. And now I think Tim has finally done it. I mean, it says it in the video. It says that he plans to vote for Trump. So he's completely left the left, everybody. He's left the Dems. Yes, I can hear your applause from here. So proud of him. Just another Dave Rubin, huh?
New party platform. Well, many of these old crony Republicans were shoved out by Donald Trump, went running to the Democrats. Many of them are endorsing Joe Biden. You see, Donald Trump's reelection isn't just about him and his agenda. It's about finally crushing the establishment politics of the past several decades and bringing about something entirely different. Of course, many of these leftists and Democrats would claim it's fascism.
Oh, see, he already knows. He already knows. But the point is for him to defend his position. And the point of the fascist is to not reveal thyself until the movement gets a rockin'. So if he plays his hand too soon, Tim Pool could be ostracized and thrown into the pit along with Milo Yiannopoulos and Gavin McInnes, and then maybe he can take off his beanie and really begin the racism. But let's hear him. Let's hear out how Donald Trump is not the first taste of fascism in our mouths.
It's not. But I do take issue with some of Trump's agenda, some of the items on his agenda list. But let's take a look at it.
Well, Tim has a couple gripes. Ooh, I can't wait.
And I'm going to tell you this. Based on what he's put out, I'm actually fairly excited to see what Donald Trump can pull off if he does get reelected. So let's take a look at what's going on with the GOP and Trump. But first, let's break down Trump's second-term agenda, now that I've said it 50 million times. Before we get started, however, head over to Tim...
Nope. Sorry, not here. Nope. I know. I am on your shit right now, Tim. But your advertisements do not belong on my sheet.
RNC kickoff. President Trump releases his second-term agenda. I apologize that I've already said second-term agenda about 500 times. But we'll go through the list. Now, I want to show you what Trump is going to be putting forward for his re-election campaign. They say, ahead of the 2020 RNC convention, which will take place digitally and in Charlotte, North Carolina, President Trump has released his agenda for a second term in the White House. Take a look below, courtesy of the Trump campaign. First, President Trump says he's fighting for you, and he wants to fight for jobs. He wants to create 10 million new jobs in 10 months.
Oh my God. You know, the unemployment rate is at 10% right now. So if we're going to consider 10 million jobs, new jobs, after this point, you have to be pretty fucking delusional, partner, because there's more than 10 million people on unemployment right now. So those aren't new jobs. Unless it's like a new industry or, you know, like a new business or what have you. But really, it still wouldn't be considered new jobs since they're, you know, kind of replacing pre-existing jobs. So it's a farce to believe that new jobs would come out of a recession. That's a bounce back, dude. So if you're excited about that, like you're already just nutting in a sock off of the idea of new jobs, take a look at the situation we're in right now and consider whether or not Corona made the situation and Trump made it worse, or Trump made the situation and Corona made it worse. If you choose the latter, you were probably excited about 10 million quote-unquote new jobs.
That's, of course, a good thing. I think anybody would agree. Can he pull it off? I think so. His
Who doesn't like a president that promises jobs? Who?
first term, he did a pretty good job on the economy. I'm confident he'd be able to pull this off as well. He wants to create 1 million new small businesses.
How does a president create 1 million new small businesses? It sounds like you need 1 million small business owners to just pop out of thin air. What? Also, maybe also too is that a lot of them are kind of in dormancy right now, right? Maybe some of these businesses are in comas, or another possibility, eventually once a lot of these places that have been evicted because they could not afford rent at their old place of business, these spots are going to become more readily available for further investment. So again, creating 1 million new stuff after a recession, that's not building anything. That's just replacing. Tim, wake up, buddy. You've been dreaming. Wake up.
Well, that's going to require a cultural shift, but I believe it's also possible, especially considering COVID devastated many small businesses, shutting them down permanently. I believe Trump can make this happen.
What?
He wants to cut taxes to boost take-home pay and keep jobs in America. While typically I'm not a big fan of just generic tax cuts, I think they need a purpose. And I'm not a fan of generic tax increases either, like we're seeing from Biden. I would say right now, because of the devastation to our economy, it's a smart play to cut taxes. It just is.
Why? What does generic tax cuts mean? Like, does he mean like that it's just across the board, like everybody getting tax cuts? Or does he mean like meaningless tax cuts, like there's no actual purpose for them? But it's fascinating that he just said that he thinks cutting taxes right now is a good idea, considering the fact that our government is losing revenue hardcore, and cutting taxes more in the time, like after we've just spent $2 trillion fucking dollars stimulating the clitoris of the economy. Like, bro, are you financially stupid? All right, moving on.
It just is. He wants to enact fair trade deals that protect American jobs. Protecting American jobs is a good thing. Made in America tax credits. I believe that's also a good thing. We want more jobs, more manufacturing in the U.S.
Yes, we should continue subsidizing big business. Cut more taxes. Give them more tax credits. Just find ways for businesses not to pay into communities, and thus the communities will have to do it themselves, or they will have to look to the market to fix their problems. Boy, oh boy, I gotta love laissez-faire capitalism and a completely authoritarian government. Man, I am so stoked on this. Dude, I'm gonna go buy a beanie too. I wanna feel the way that Tim Pool does. I wanna be as enthusiastic about a fascistic government like Tim Pool. I want what he has. I don't. All right.
Expanding opportunity zones. This is good as well. Opportunity zones, that, for those that aren't familiar, are economically embattled areas. And by creating tax incentives, they encourage businesses to come in and develop in areas that will help restore the economy and generally increase the quality of life for people who live there. Now,
AKA gentrification.
Now, of course, I think the left would say that's going to gentrify the neighborhoods for sure, but I agree.
Tim Pool just said he is cool about moving low-income people out of a risky economic investment. He wants to move them out of that, eliminate the risky economic investment by removing the poor people, and then bringing in business so that rich people will come and enjoy the area. He's cool with that. All right.
And he wants to continue deregulatory agenda for energy independence. Now, this, I believe, has a lot to do with fossil fuels and things of that nature. While I've not been the biggest fan, I just got to say, look, I am somebody who's been traditionally liberal. I'm looking at a lot of these things.
I knew it. I knew at the beginning of this that he said that, like when I first heard him, that he was a liberal, but yet Trump is just making so much sense. Like what is Hillary Clinton going on about? And yet he's like, I don't want to vote for Trump. He's all business. And yet now he's just getting turned around. Fascinating. Fascinating. I even remember hearing a quote that like conservatives are 10 or no wait, liberals are 10 years from being a conservative or some shit like that. I thought that was funny as fuck.
And we'll keep going through the list. And I gotta say, at a time like now, with this crisis and with COVID and with our economy being so devastated, I don't see a way around what Trump is proposing. We can't just ignore it and carry on like we did. We used to live in luxury. It was easy to say, yeah, we'll cut some of these things and focus on these things. It was easy when the economy was excellent, but now we got to focus on getting people back to work and helping people live.
He doesn't make any sense. That's not a justification to continue deregulatory agenda for energy independence. He did not justify that position whatsoever, except for the fact that he wants to protect fossil fuel jobs. But if we create a new sector of green energy, not only can we save the planet, but we can also retrain people within those positions, within those industries, and create new jobs. Eventually, those jobs may be eliminated and left only to maintenance because most of our renewable energy seems to be pretty easy to fucking get. My brain. Oh. Alright. I think I had one more point, but I also think it floated off into the ether. It might be gone. Yep, it's gone. Alright, Tim, take it away.
Of course, within his agenda, he wants to eradicate COVID-19, develop a vaccine by the...
Dude, it's like if Joe Biden had put, like, end AIDS or cure cancer. And the part that he finds this to be reasonable and that any sane person would agree with it just tells me how far off his definition of sane is. That, like, hearing the words eradicate COVID-19 is just like, alright, that's a point. I like it.
At the end of 2020. Return to normal by 2021. Make all critical medicines and supplies for healthcare workers in the U.S. and refill stockpiles and prepare for future pandemics. All really good things.
It heals the pain. It heals the pain, but like, oh my god. I don't know how Tim Pool could see Trump's reaction to COVID-19 and look at our numbers now, right? And then look at Norway or Vietnam or South Korea or really any other state that isn't in the top 3. Look at what they did and look at their numbers and think, yes, Trump can eradicate COVID-19. He's had a chance and he still does.
He wants to end our reliance on China.
Yep, he just moved
bring back
right
1 million manufacturing jobs from China.
Right.
Tax credits for companies that bring back jobs from China.
Oh, I just hit my face. Tax credits for companies that bring back jobs from China. More tax credits. I will pay you to bring your jobs back from China, where you annually save more money because the labor is so cheap. Fascinating. 1 million manufacturing jobs from China. Where are those other 9 million new jobs going to come from if not manufacturing? That's another thing. Is it the gig economy? Is it going to create 10 million jobs in the gig economy? Because manufacturing is the closest thing to automation, like, completely. Man, is Tim just, like, completely devoid of critical thinking? I wonder. Tax credits for companies that bring back jobs from China. Yeah, I guess, but, like, what qualifies that? Is Tim at least a little bit curious on how many jobs Trump has to bring back, or how many jobs those companies have to bring back for them to receive the tax credits? Is he at all concerned about that? Weird. Go ahead, Tim.
Allow 100% expensing deductions for essential industries like pharmaceuticals and robotics who bring back their manufacturing to the U.S. No federal
Dude. Expensing deductions for pharmaceuticals and robotics. So one, he says that he's taken a stand with the whole pharmaceuticals with the what does he call it, the favored country, where they have to pay, where America's going to pay the same amount that other countries do for the same medicine. But yet he's also willing them to give them 100% expensing deductions. just for coming back to the United States with their manufacturing. And here's the thing, pharmaceuticals, most of that manufacturing is already automated to the teat. So cool. And then also I like how robotics is one of those essential industries, which, you know, if you really think about it, robotics is, again, automation. So not only is he going to pay pharmaceuticals to bring their automation here, he's also going to pay robotics to come here and figure out how to automate everybody's jobs. So cool. Yep, this is I'm up there, Tim. I'm on Amazon right now looking for my beanie, dude. I'm joining the team.
Contracts for companies who outsource to China. Hold China fully accountable for allowing the virus to spread around the world.
So there's an issue here that he's focusing on bringing manufacturing jobs from China when Apple moved their manufacturing, I think, over to India. I think Nike did the same. Not 100% sure, but from what I hear is that India actually has the bigger manufacturing workers economy going on right now, so they're actually moving most of their stuff over there. So that's funny that he's sitting here focusing on, this is what I'm going to do to China if China doesn't do what I want them to do or whatever. This is what I'm going to do to China. You'd love to hear it. But like honestly, China's losing jobs. So this few of these bullet points here are completely, I guess, dishonest and distracting from the current situation, but also hold China fully accountable for allowing the virus to spread around the world. That's just rhetoric to say that we're antagonistic to China. That's just that China talk that he's been doing since he started running, like just rolling with the hits at this point. He has to pose as a strongman against China because China is on the rise pretty fucking hard. So he has to not only do it for his country, but also for his base. And let's not forget Steve Bannon, who helped get Trump in office, also made a whole documentary about how much he hates China. So I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of China, but it's just that section is dumb.
Healthcare. He wants to cut prescription drug prices, put patients and doctors back in charge of our healthcare system, lower healthcare insurance premiums.
This is all empty because there's no actual plans. These are just the things that people want to hear. He has no... All right, so he did the favored countries with the cut prescription drug prices, but we don't know if that's actually going to work or what drugs that's actually going into, because he just said drugs. So we're not even sure if it's actually prescription, because what if those prescriptions aren't sold in different countries? A lot of those prescriptions are actually doubly made. So... Again, we're just kind of playing loosely with rhetoric here because that's the kind of shit that gets voters hot and bothered rather than actual substance, because bills are fucking boring to read. That's not my fault. That's not your fault. It's just the way it is. Oh, wait, that's their fault. Yeah, that's politicians' fault because they should be the ones who honestly represent what is said in a bill, or at least be able to coherently break it down into simple terms and without having to lie. But being this simple, where you just like, this is what I want to do. I want to put patients and doctors back in charge of our healthcare system. Like, what? When have patients ever been in charge of our healthcare system? And then lower healthcare insurance premiums. That's not up to him. In surprise billing. Okay, good luck. You gonna outlaw it? Is that what you're gonna do? You're just gonna fucking outlaw it? Cover all pre-existing conditions. What are you gonna put it in a executive order? Are you gonna actually is the Republican Party actually gonna come up with a bill that's gonna replace Obamacare or the ACA? Are they actually going to do that? And then it says protect Social Security and Medicare. Remember, Trump wants to cut payroll taxes. He already is cutting payroll taxes. I think they wanted to get that in the stimulus bill. I don't know if he actually came out with an executive order to do so, but he wants to cut payroll taxes. And guess what payroll taxes go towards? Yes, you guessed it. Social Security and Medicare. And Medicaid. So if you cut those, guess what you're not protecting? Oh. Damn. Connecting dots like... Alright, moving on.
End surprise billing. Cover all pre-existing conditions. Protect Social Security and Medicare. Protect our veterans and provide world-class healthcare and services.
those are all just rhetoric slogans, like meaningless words. Meaningless words, because unless you can back it up with some substance and policy, it's a lot easier to take you seriously. But this is just how you run a campaign. That's it.
Of course, I think all of these things would be supported by the average person.
Yeah, no shit.
Whether or not he can make them happen is a bigger issue.
And if that is an actual issue, why would you just say that you would vote for him?
Now, when it comes to education, he wants to provide school choice for every child in America and teach American exceptionalism. I'm not super concerned about American exceptionalism.
Why are you not concerned about American exceptionalism? Why would you not be concerned about that? Why would that be even a focus in education? And it's because the right has been pushing the idea that with the whole thing about like the universities and colleges and shit being the left's brainwashing facilities, but also that our grade schools don't really teach kids well enough about the American heritage, all of that bullshit. That's a horrible focus to put on your education agenda, is to say American exceptionalism. We are going to teach our kids that we are more exceptional than every other nation. That's not rational. This is not a rational way to teach kids. It's fucking nuts, and it's nationalistic, and that's how you get Nazis, bro. Do you really want Nazis? Because that's how you get Nazis.
But school choice is huge. For those that don't know what this is, it means that if you live in a certain area, you have to pay taxes that go to those schools.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll see someone living in a district, but across the street is a much nicer district, so their kids can't go to that school, even though it may be closer. School choice means individuals perhaps get a voucher. This is the voucher program where...
Just so you know that if the school boards allow it, and also the school itself and the districts allow it, you can go from one school to the other, even if they're in separate districts or counties. It's possible. You can do the paperwork to get it done. So to say that kids have no choice, it's a lie. You pay your taxes, that goes to a pool for the Department of Education. The Department of Education manages what counties get and what districts get. You don't just pay just your county and they figure it out. Normally these taxes are reallocated after being managed. So school choice is actually a program moved forward by Betsy DeVos, who, as far as we know, has significant amounts of investments in student debt. I think their family business is actually managing student debt. School choice is put forward to put vouchers and I think deductions for families to send their kids to private schools, because private schools aren't necessarily held down to the county that you live in. It's a way to weaken the public education, and it actually puts I can see this putting families in debt just to send their kids to school. And I think eventually parents won't be able to afford to send their kids to school if this continues long enough. And also, it's not going to make schools better. It's going to make public schools significantly worse, and for the kids who can't afford that, that's what they're going to go to. And it's going to lose even more funding as school choice continues to proceed. So those kids are going to get worse educations. So it's either get a worse education or go into debt so your kid can go to another school. We're not going to really know the outcomes of the situation of school choice, but it's an initiative to push forward charter schools and private schools and invest in them through government legislation. Tim Pool's lying, is what I'm saying.
Where you decide where to apply, where to send that voucher, and your kid can go to that school. I actually really like school choice. But here's the best part: draining the swamp. I'm sorry it took this long to get here, but we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the end of the GOP, the end of the Democrats, and here is how Trump will pull it off, or at least how he aims to. He wants to pass congressional term limits. You know, I am completely in favor of this. I've heard many arguments from people who say things like, if somebody wants to run and we want to elect them, then they should be allowed to do this. It's an argument against term limits. I thought about it. I disagree. Some have said you'll lose people like Rand Paul. He's awesome. Yeah, but it's okay because you'll also lose people like Nancy Pelosi. I believe we have way more do-nothing politicians in Congress and, even in the executive office, just like Joe Biden and stuff. We have way more do-nothings than we do passionate individuals who actually want to get in. And while it is possible that the party will just cycle their preferred crony politicians every two terms or whatever, I think it'll do more to get people into Congress and into office who are actually interested in being there, who are focused on serious issues. I am tired of the crony Chuck Schumers and
I'm not really sure term limits are really going to be the thing that fixes congressional corruption. I get like having people voted into office so many times I don't even think many senators or House of Representative positions are really like held out that long. Maybe the House Speaker and Majority Whip are usually like they don't have term limits, but like for the most part, everybody is held up to elections every so years. So as long as they're not doing a satisfactory job, but I don't know. I would have to actually look more into the congressional term limits before I can take a position on it, but it sounds like Tim Pool's just fed up of hearing about the same people.
Mitch McConnell's and Joe Biden's and Nancy Pelosi's. I don't like any of them. There's a handful of people I really do like. It's more Republicans than Democrats because it's more to do with integrity than policy. But I've had enough.
I mean, if you see more integrity in the Republicans right now, then, I feel like you've been a conservative a lot longer than you're admitting. Because I don't see any integrity whatsoever in the Republican Party. I don't really see much of it either in the Democratic Party. It's very scant. But at the same time, to think you see it in the Republican Party, the integrity that you must be remarking isn't the same kind that we don't share the same kind of integrity then.
I think it's time to drain the swamp. And if Trump can get congressional term limits passed, I think it'd be fantastic. I'm not entirely convinced he can, however, because Congress has to vote on their own term limits, and they never do. Because our Congress, it's a swamp. It is a swamp. He also wants to end bureaucratic government bullying of U.S. citizens and small businesses, expose Washington's money trail and delicate...
Why would he just be okay with reading off that point and not explore more? End bureaucratic government bullying of U.S. citizens and small businesses? Ask what that means, Tim.
And delegate powers back to people and states. I love it. Drain the globalist swamp by taking on
Expose Washington's money trail and delegate powers back to people and states? Yeah, sure. But also, if you want to expose Washington's money trail, just go to opensecrets.org, opensecrets.org. It's already exposed, ladies and gentlemen.
International organizations that hurt American citizens. Now, look, many of these proposals are relatively vague. But let me tell you something.
All right, at least he acknowledged that they're vague, but I just want to notice that drain the globalist swamp by taking on international organizations that hurt American citizens. That is not vague. That's a dog whistle. The word that gives it away is globalist. That's some Alex Jones shit. That's some QAnon shit. This is an obvious dog whistle to his base that is fervent about him ending the globalist pedophile ring that they assume is going on. Like, it's just one Illuminati group that's moving these kids around, not several organizations all around the world, probably including many terrorist gangs, governments possibly. I don't know how human trafficking works, but I don't think it's one cabal. I do think it's many. And I think Trump even admitted that as well in a press conference. He said that there's many human trafficking organizations, and that's why it's such a difficult task. But that specific point, obviously, even, the whole drain the swamp thing is just a shout out to his base that, says that they wanted to shake up the GOP and the status quo. Shaking it up, right? Really shaking up that can of worms.
Twitter, right now, consider this. a foreign citizen. I noticed this on Reddit. It's not just Twitter. It's Reddit. It's Facebook. I went to r/politics.
Yeah.
And there was a post and it said, Donald Trump is the worst.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is awful. Orange man bad.
Yeah.
And I went in and noticed a bunch of people who are European and Australian. And I got really, really angry. I am tired of being talked at by people who do not live in this country about what my opinions should be about who the president should be.
Tim Pool thinks that people posting on a forum are talking at him. He reads forum posts like, how dare this son of a bitch tell me that Trump is a bad president. I know Trump better than you. I'm American. And then he doesn't write a comment. He just downvotes and then just keeps scrolling all mad and shit. Like, how dare he talk to me like that? Like, bro, it's a forum. You know how forums work, right? Look at that glazed look he has. He has such a stony look to him. You smoked him? Maybe we can pass a joint and figure out what the root of all of this is, because never mind, I don't want to anymore. I changed my mind.
And I am really angry that these big tech platforms will ban American citizens from speaking their mind about their own country. So what happens? Voters are influenced. Our media is influenced by big tech platforms that allow foreign individuals to express their opinions, but not American citizens.
Holy shit, Tim. Are you fucking kidding me? Don't say it. Don't say
Now,
it.
I don't know if Trump can do anything about this. It's not necessarily in his agenda, but I want to see Section 230 reform. I want to see an end to the foreign influence in our elections. I do not care about the opinions of...
He said it. Some dude from Switzerland posting on Reddit, I am tired of you influencing our elections. Hey, dude from Norway talking about my president, I'm tired of you influencing my elections. Come on, Tim. Just come the fuck on. Bro, like, I'm pretty sure that Bipartisan just admitted that Russia worked very hard through social media to influence our elections to get Donald Trump elected. And all they have to do is buy ad space. They come up with a shill company and they create ad space, right? Or they just make up a Facebook page, get tons of clout from all the people seeing it, and then just push them towards Trump with propaganda memes. It's fascinating that he thinks individuals talking shit on a forum are influencing elections, but won't acknowledge the fact that Russia actually put their hackers to work. Not their hackers, but their fucking cyber department. I'm not a intelligent fellow, but I am fairly certain that they have a cyber department. I'm sure that's what they call it. That they put them to work to make sure that Donald Trump was in office. Many of our intelligence agencies have admitted this, and then just recently, the Senate Intelligence Committee also admitted to this. So, where do we go from here, Tim? Where do we go from here?
Of people in France, Canada, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere else. And that includes conservatives. I always thought it was particularly hilarious that we have so many Canadians interested in American politics. Now that I get, okay? Canada, you're right next to America, so you guys get a free pass. People in the UK, I can say, okay, a little.
You can only talk about the United States if you were directly next to us. That's Canada and Mexico, bitch. So Alaska? Shut up. I'm just kidding. They're a part of us. It's fascinating because the United States affects literally every country on this planet. It is a world superpower. We have our mangling little fingers in all of it. We put them in everything we can. If there's oil there, we're putting our fucking fingers in it. Dibs, right? But, Tim, you know that. You totally know that.
A little bit. But why do we have British people and Australians and New Zealanders and French people and Spanish and Italians going on social media and complaining about our president Now, I get it. We're a very powerful
we're a
country,
part
but
of
I'm
the
sick of
United
it.
Nations,
I'm
right?
sick of the foreign interference in what should be American matters.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of American foreign war, and that's another big issue that Donald Trump he's hitting the nail on the head with the hammer. So I'll tell you what.
But we haven't even gotten to that issue, so it's fascinating that he's hitting the nail on that hammer. What?
I like this agenda list, but I want to be critical of some stuff here. He goes on to say, defend our police, fully fund and hire more police and law enforcement officers. I do like this, but I want to make sure that reform is on that list. I understand not every cop is in favor of it, not every conservative or Democrat, but most people in this country are. And what that means is, when we fully fund and hire more officers, we do it in a way to make sure they're safer, they're less likely to get hurt, that we can have more departments. Social workers can be added to the list who can specialize in certain 911 calls, certain 311 calls. We don't need to send out a cop for every single minor infraction. And that means more funding, more training, and it means more accountability too. But if it can make cops feel safer, if it can make them feel more secure, then good. Increase.
He just talked about how safety would be very important so long as it is in the cops' benefit, not so much as the communities. And I think that's the fault that Tim Pool just made. That hashtag sad made me sad.
Criminal penalties for assaults on law enforcement officers. This I don't care about. Don't hit cops. Don't attack cops. Okay. I've been wrongly arrested before twice. It is not fun, but you remain calm. You go through the motions. It's annoying, and then ultimately you go through the paperwork and deal with it. It's not perfect. In fact, I hate it. But don't attack cops. Prosecute drive-by shootings as acts of domestic terrorism. This I don't like. I don't like it at all. If a crime's a crime, a crime's a crime. Drive-bys are already illegal. You don't need a special provision on top of it. Bring violent extremist groups like Antifa to justice. Here, yes, 100%.
What an arbitrary fucking issue to have, but sure, Tim. Just be like, I don't agree with adding domestic terrorism as a drive-by. Throw it by the wayside. But bring violent extremist groups like Antifa to justice just gets Tim Pool all kinds of rock hard. Oh man, he can't get enough of thinking Antifa finally being brought to justice. That horrible monster Antifa, that bad man down the street named Antifa, that fucking motherfucker Antifa.
100%. Endless cash bail and keep dangerous criminals locked up.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. If you are not anti-fascist, what are you?
Up until trial. For the most part, yes, I agree. I don't like the idea of a blanket statement on cashless bail. I believe there are certain circumstances where we should err on the side of freedom, but dangerous criminals should be locked up. I know, innocent until proven guilty, and that's the big challenge. But I don't know. Danger? I typically err on the side of freedom over security, right? It is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer.
Interesting. He says freedom over security, and yet he's totally down to fully fund and hire more police.
But we should also have a right to a speedy trial. So I believe along with any provision that removes cashless bail, we need to make sure that we have immediate hearings for this and trials as quickly as we can. End illegal.
So he essentially agreed with the end cashless bail and keep dangerous criminals locked up. Wow, end cashless bail. Wow, dude. Wow, dude. Like, wow, you would have to go through a bail bond. Or you'd have to go to the bank and completely make a withdrawal that you can't even make a withdrawal on. Wow. And then he's like, yeah, you can keep dangerous criminals locked up as long as their trial's speedy and fast, you know? Like, I want that death sentence tomorrow. On my desk in the morning, Anderson. I don't fucking know.
Illegal immigration and protect American workers. Block illegal immigrants from becoming eligible for taxpayer-funded welfare, healthcare, and free college tuition. I agree.
Do the opposite of what Bernie wanted to do. I agree.
Mandatory deportation for non-citizen gang members. 100%. Dismantle human trafficking. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know who wouldn't agree with that one, but that's just one of those empty promises.
And sanctuary cities to restore our neighborhoods and protect our families. Yes.
Why?
Prohibit American companies from replacing U.S. citizens with lower-cost foreign workers. Agreed.
You mean that same provision that Trump used to hire foreign workers at his Mar-a-Lago? All right. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Require new immigrants to be able to support themselves financially. Yes. Innovate for the...
So Tim Pool's only cool for you to immigrate here if you can support yourself financially. I mean, you know, refugees don't always have a lot when they get here. So...
the future. Launch the Space Force. Establish permanent manned presence on the moon. And send the first manned mission to Mars.
Trump is just promising the moon and the Mars. That's great. That's great. We're going to eradicate COVID, and then we're going to have the first manned mission to Mars. Man, this is... 2021 through 4 is just going to be fucking cake.
100%.
I like how excited he got for, like, an empty promise. Permanent manned presence on the moon. Like, come on, dude. Like, yeah, we could, maybe, right? But we'd have to definitely have a facility capable of doing so. We have those, the space stations out, like, floating above us right now. We have those. But, you know, actually constructing a building on the moon to keep people there. It's not pie in the sky, but, you know, we could use, you know, Medicare for all. We could use a Green New Deal. Nah, fuck it. We'll just put a guy on the moon.
Build the world's greatest infrastructure system. I don't know what that means. Whatever.
Nice.
Win the race to 5...
There's one point that he's just like, that's an empty statement, but he just moves on. Like, that doesn't hinder his opinion whatsoever.
5G and establish a national high-speed wireless internet network. Agreed. Continue to lead the world in access to the cleanest drinking water and cleanest air. Yes, please.
He just says yes, but he doesn't take into the consideration that we are going to deregulate for the fossil fuels so that they can continue polluting at the levels that they want, or even increase them in order to increase productivity before they actually crumble into nothingness because they caused climate change. All right, now, cleanest drinking water? What the fuck did he do for Flint? Can anybody tell me? Because I'm pretty sure throughout his entire presidency, Flint went with dirty water, I think up until late last year. And he has never mentioned this city. So, cleanest drinking water, not really a priority to the president.
Partner with other nations to clean up our planet's oceans. Yes.
Empty.
Absolutely.
He just, yes! I love being told things that could happen. Yes!
Man, I've been talking about this stuff nonstop for years.
Yeah.
Environmentalism, cleaning up the oceans, protecting our environment, clean
He thinks Trump is the president of environmentalism. Oh my God.
air, clean drinking water, better technology, better infrastructure. Donald Trump's doing his best to get people like me to vote for him. American first foreign policy. Stop and...
Dropping your agenda list is trying your best to get Tim Pool to vote for you. So if you have an agenda that will appeal to Tim Pool, please drop it in his inbox and let him know.
endless wars and bring our troops home. You better do it. That's what I want to hear. Get allies to pay their fair share.
He's like, you better do it, but like he hasn't. He hasn't done it at all. And he has had the chance to do it, but he hasn't. And yet here we are. We're still at war with the same 7 nations that we were before he started.
Maintain and expand America's unrivaled military strength. Why?
Let's stop endless wars, but let's also maintain and expand America's unrivaled military strength. Yes, Tim, those things do not contradict each other whatsoever. Not at all. No. Nope.
Wipe out global terrorists who threaten to harm Americans.
Stop endless wars, but we're also going to wipe out global terrorists. You know the war on terror is that endless war, Tim. You know that, right? Like you're a grown adult who pays rent, right? God damn it.
Build a great cybersecurity defense system and missile defense system. Now I'll tell you what. We need a good military. Fine. I'm kind of meh on this. I'm concerned about American imperialism that comes along with zealous exceptionalism. But I love this country. I want to see it defended.
Jim. God damn it, bro. He literally earlier said with the fucking point in education, I don't know how many minutes ago that was, but in the same video, he said that teaching kids American exceptionalism does not bother him whatsoever, but then right there says that he has a problem with zealot exceptionalism. How do you think it gets started, Tim? Do you think it gets started at, I don't know, at a young age? Fucking god damn, bro. How can you walk and live as a paradox? Fuck.
I want to see an end to the endless wars. I do want our allies to pay for the defense we provide, but more importantly, we shouldn't be the world's police in the first place. So I will tell you this. Donald Trump has tried to return our troops from the Middle East. Yes, please. He tried to remove our troops from Syria. Do it. Get it done.
He did not try to remove our troops from Syria. What he did was he moved them from one area to another. And what that did was, left our allies open to slaughter. Yeah, so cool, Tim. You're a well-informed adult, and you should definitely vote this November.
That's the only reason I'm willing to support him for this. But I will tell you what, I believe that any rational American would look at this and say,
nope.
Yeah?
No.
Look, I'm sorry, to a lot of people, maybe it's boring.
Any rational voter would actually want to hear more. Expand upon these ideas. Tell me your policy. They wouldn't just say yes, 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 please, yes, oh, yes, 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 Tim. That's extremely sane, rational responses to an agenda list.
Boring to read through Trump's agenda item list, but I'm like 90% there on what Trump is proposing right now. I agree. I have my concerns for sure. But I will tell you that with the Democrats' insanity, with the ongoing riots, with the endorsement of much of this violence, with these far leftists getting on board with the violence, I got to say, I will take Trump any day over these other groups. Now, here's what's really fascinating. Politico has a story called the Grand Old Meltdown. What happens when a party gives up on ideas? I've never cared for the Republican Party. Donald Trump is not the Republican Party. I don't know what he is, but he's doing his thing. And I got to say, the agenda...
He just said he doesn't know what Donald Trump is, and yet he's just willing to vote for him. That's wild.
List he put out, I like it. I like it a lot. For the most part, I love it. So when I saw this story, I kind of laughed. Yeah. Here it comes. Conventions 2020, and the Republicans have nothing to offer. That's what they say. The Republican Party has no ideas. All they want to do is own the libs.
Yep.
And I thought about it. And then I saw the story about the GOP with no party platform, and I laughed. It's true. Trump is destroying the crony establishment. Let me give you a round of applause for that one. This is it. The GOP has no ideas because Trump stormed in like a bull to the crony establishment, kicking and stomping, smashing everything. And we saw establishment Republicans run with their tails between their legs to the Democratic Party.
What?
And that's why we are...
William Barr is an establishment Republican. Mike Pompeo is an establishment Republican. And Trump appointing... Steve Mnuchin from, what the fuck is he from? Goldman Sachs or Deutsche Bank? I think Goldman Sachs. Not new. That's not new either. That's actually an incredibly establishment. I think Obama had like 4 bankers on his fucking cabinet. Let's see. So two prominent Republicans in his state, one in the State Department, the other in the Department of Justice. Ben Carson, establishment Republican, Department of Labor? No. Urban Development. Housing and Urban Development. Betsy DeVos, registered Republican, but is a businesswoman, so she's from the private sector as well. Stephen Miller. Ooh, I don't even know. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh wow, Stephen Miller's politics have been described as far right. So, Cool. Yep, political party Republican. Yep. Yes, I would say the correct characterization would be some establishment Republicans are turning against Trump, but the other ones are doubling down on the actual eventual evolution of what the Republican Party is going to become, which is an authoritarian state, but a laissez-faire economist. So, and everything Trump is doing is exactly as Republican as it can be. It's just a lot of these other Republicans are moving away so that they can kind of save face for the Republican Party, so it doesn't look quite as evil as it is. Like, you know, you have your moderate Democrats and now you have your moderate Republicans, which both of those are just kind of interchangeable. That's why a lot of them are going for Biden, and then once Biden, the replacement for Biden is just a little too left, they're going to go back and go for the more conservative. But that's over. The GOP is going to be dominated by ever increasingly radical presidents because of the success of Donald Trump. So, yep.
We are seeing now all of these endorsements from Republicans for Joe Biden. Laughable. I don't like any of them.
I like how it's just a handful of them. Like, I'm pretty sure the entire Senate protected Trump from being impeached. So, like, honestly, a handful of Republicans not siding with Trump is not Trump smashing the status quo or the establishment. They conformed to his more radical positions simply because they have to support the president basically no matter what he does because of his representation of the party, since he was nominated back in 2016 to represent the party. So the Democrats faced the same situation with Bernie Sanders. If Bernie Sanders had become president and represented the Democratic Party, most, if not all, the representatives would then have to start moving in that direction and go under a Bernie banner, because that's the way that they're going to continue to win votes. It's the same shit. So, the only difference is that the DNC couldn't commit to moving further left than they were with Bernie's presidency or even Bernie's nomination. So, yep.
I don't like any of the Republicans. I don't like the Republicans or the Democrats for the most part.
Me neither.
So when I hear the GOP has no plan, I don't care. I don't care. This means nothing to me. And maybe
I don't think it should, because the party that has no plan is just following proto-fasci. Like, they're just following Trump. So the fact that you're cool with a political party that is just blind and willing to blindly support somebody that you are also blindly supporting, like, you're both just vapid vessels for any movement that is going to move across the agenda of American traditionalism, even if that means authoritarianism. Thank you. This has been my bread talk. Tim, please continue.
I'm just that independent voter that's leaning towards Trump today, but this means nothing to me. Let me read this for you. The writer says, I decided to call Frank Luntz. Perhaps no person alive has spent more time polling Republican voters and counseling Republican politicians than Luntz.
Wait.
The 58-year-old focus group guru.
Yeah. Wait, isn't Frank Luntz like the guy who tested the death tax or the estate tax, and then also worked on the whole 9/11 scam? Let's see. The WMD scam. Frank Luntz. Pretty sure that's him. Oh, look. Best known for developing talking points and other messaging for Republican causes. Cool. That's all I needed to know. Thank you. Tim, continue.
His research on policy and messaging has informed a generation of GOP lawmakers.
I'm pretty sure
his ability to translate between DNC and the provinces, connecting the concerns of everyday people to their representatives in power, has been unsurpassed. If anyone had an answer, it would be Luntz. Quote.
Before we get into that quote, just want to make sure here. Yep, he worked on the death tax instead of estate tax, and he did climate change instead of global warming. I think there was also, he's worked on gun control, he worked on the Occupy Wall Street, he worked on state of the Republican Party, he had the UK general election, he worked on the Australian federal election, he worked on the Irish general elections, UK conservative leadership election, Israeli and Palestine, U.S. politics in the 1990s. 2010 Lie of the Year award. What the fuck? Luntz was awarded the 2010 PolitiFact Lie of the Year award for his promotion of the phrase government takeover to refer to healthcare reform. All right, so this is definitely somebody we should be listening to. Thanks, Politico.
You know, I don't have a history of dodging questions, but I don't know how to answer that. There is no consistent philosophy. You can't say it's about making America great again at a time of COVID and economic distress and social unrest. It's not credible. You know what? Frank's right. It's because Donald Trump hasn't yet taken over the GOP. He's pushed out many of his individuals. But you know what, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, get rid of them for all I care. I am tired of the establishment in general, and so are many Americans.
Fascinating is that he wants like a party dedicated to Donald Trump. Like he actually wants full allegiance from a political party to a president. And you know who had situations like that? Stalin, Mussolini, Pinochet, Mao from China. Did I say Stalin? I think I already said Stalin. Hitler. Yeah, I think I almost forgot Hitler. Yeah, those people had parties that were loyal to them, and those parties were essential to the power grab. So, whoops.
Time for something else. And that's the problem. The GOP doesn't have a philosophy because there's the Trump faction, and then there's the cronies who are still inside, sitting around pretending to be on board with Trump. I never liked any of the Republicans.
I'm pretty sure also earlier that he said he liked certain more Republicans and Democrats because of their integrity. So his integrity then is the ones that are loyal to Trump. And if you're an actual good judger of integrity, I don't think you would look at Trump and go, such integrity, much virtue. No, that's not a rational response. Nope.
Never liked the Democrats, and I don't care about any of them. That's why I didn't vote in 2016. And now, with all the riots, it's why I'm very likely going to be voting for Donald Trump. If the election happened today, yeah, I'd probably hit that Trump button. Now, I'll tell you this. As of right now, after seeing Trump's agenda, I think I can safely say, for the time being, if the election happened right now, yes, I would support this agenda list. I want to see more of what people have to say against Trump. I want to see what the Democrats have to offer, but so far what I've seen has been unimpressive, has been nightmarish, to say the least. I am not going to stand for these fringe far leftist big tech companies silencing American voices.
Nope, don't agree with big companies being fringe far left. Nope, that's a lie. Strange lie. Very weird lie.
I am not going to stand for the Democrats lying about the riots and supporting them. Absolutely not. And that's why Donald Trump must win. He absolutely must stop the Democrats 100%. They've gone insane. So I think I've been pushed.
Yeah, that's what helps Tim Pool sleep at night, is that same dichotomy, is that the Democrats are evil and Trump is here to stop them. Seriously, I cannot help but wonder whether or not Tim Pool is just secretly a QAnon supporter and just has not come forward with word I can't say. He just can't come forward with it because that's just too fringe for now.
To this point. And one of the reasons I've said
one day
many times in the past that, in all likelihood, I'd vote for Trump is simply because I didn't know what could change. That's still true. We're a few months away. For all I know, Trump could come out and say something really dumb. So I reserve my right to say no at any point. But with this list...
Come on, can we be honest that if Trump says something dumb, that's not going to change Tim Pool's mind? Because, dude, he said a lot of dumb shit. Did he watch the Axios interview?
This agenda list, with where the Democrats are at, as of right now, definitely going to be voting for Trump. Probably a bunch of Republicans, too. We'll see. And it's because I defer at this point. With the chaos in the streets, there's nothing more I can say. That's all. It is what it is. But Frank Luntz goes on to say that I don't know what they're after. You know, there's no real philosophy. Others said it's about owning the libs, but I'll tell you what. I think it's safe to say there are signs of a coming Trump victory. This is an article from Town Hall. It's an opinion by Wayne Allen Root, who says the signs are everywhere. Polls show an overwhelming majority of Americans don't want to defund police. They want law and order. They support police.
Ray Allen Woot or root? Wait, what did he say? I'm bad at this.
More I can say. That's all. It is. There's no real philosophy. Others said it's about owning the libs, but I'll tell you what. I think it's safe to say there are signs of a coming Trump victory. This is an article from Town Hall. It's an opinion by Wayne Allen Root, who says the signs are everywhere. Polls show an overwhelming majority of Americans don't want to defund police. They want law and order. They support police. Even 80% of...
A Republican says a Trump victory is coming. He was the nominee for a Libertarian Party, but in 2012 he left the Libertarian Party and endorsed and voted for Mitt Romney in 2012. So maybe we could consider this guy. Establishment. Wow, he has a spray tan that is wider than his teeth. And yet his eyeballs and his teeth just stick out amongst all that orange. Why get the spray tans, man? I don't understand it. Oh, and so he went Libertarian and then back Republican. Oh, okay. Oh, and he was... Oh, okay. Co-host of a radio show. He's worked on several news channels. Spike TV. Cool. He produced Ghost Adventures. Alright. Yep. So this is... Alright, I just wanted to figure out who was giving this opinion.
Black voters. Polls show 83% of Americans support Trump's and Housing and Urban Development Ben Carson's ending of Obama's program designed to fill the suburbs with high-density, low-income housing, bringing crime and drugs to the neighborhoods of suburban moms and dads.
Wow, that is just like the most anti-poor sentiment I have ever heard. Like, if we don't let poor people in with these low-income housings, we won't have so much crime and drugs. Okay?
Does anyone with a brain or common sense think it's a good idea?
I mean, there is a correlation between poverty and crime, and I'm also, I think, been told that there's a causation between poverty and crime in a lot of cases. So, while that is true, maybe we should focus in on alleviating poverty rather than blocking more low-income housing for, people who are actually trying. But I don't know. I've watched movies from Hollywood who say that people that end up like trying too hard for long enough end up just breaking the law anyways.
A good sign for Biden or Democrats.
That's just anecdotal.
Do you think these millions of suburban American homeowners who don't want to see their home value destroyed or the neighborhood turned into war zones like Chicago, Detroit, or Baltimore are going to vote enthusiastically for Biden? He says there are more signs. The race to escape the big city crime wave, rioting and looting is accelerating at warp speed. Ask any suburban realtor. Even liberal New Yorkers are running for their lives. It's not just New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. Does anyone with a brain or common sense think this is a good sign for Biden or Democrats? And then there are guns.
It's so wild that they, Trump exacerbated these situations, and yet Biden is the one who's at fault here. It's funny.
America is selling out of guns and bullets too. Does anyone with a brain think it's a good sign for Democrats? Finally, there's the DNC. After hearing from all the big guns, Michelle and Barack Obama, Bill and Hillary, Jill Biden, Harris, and Thursday's Rasmussen poll shows Trump moving from 47 to 51% approval. And don't forget, Joe Biden didn't get that big old bump. He says, remember when then President Jimmy Carter led Republican nominee Ronald Reagan by 10 points during the summer of 1980? Reagan won in a historic landslide. Remember when Democratic nominee Dukakis was up by 17 points over George H.W. Bush, but Bush won 426 to 111. Don't look now, but it's about to happen again. The signs are everywhere. Trump is about to win an electoral landslide. Maybe. I'm starting to think so.
Biden's
Political polls. National
candidate.
general election among independents. Trump is up 10 points.
Maybe.
10-point lead. Listen, I said a couple years ago I would never vote for Donald Trump. I said in January I will never have.
But Biden is a fucking horrible candidate. Like, if the DNC wanted the independent vote, they would have gone for Bernie Sanders. But they were much more interested in the moderate vote, and that's what they're going for. So I hope it pays off for them, because I think it's a dog shit choice.
Have a gun in my home. And now I have several. Times changed, and they changed fast. And that's why I'm saying I reserve my right to change my mind on Trump or anybody else because we've got a couple months. Things could absolutely change. I absolutely won't be voting for the Democrats. No way. Learned my lesson there.
I think anybody is entitled to the right to change their mind. I think anybody can be who they want to be. It's just really hard for me to get behind the idea that you would change from a liberal to a conservative to a proto-fascist. Like, we got to talk about stuff, Tim. We got to talk about how you got there.
But they've managed to get me to say straight up, yeah, I'll be voting for Trump. Not that I'm happy about it, but I will tell you that
if we actually like watch over like the past 3 years of Tim Pool's content from when Trump was elected to now, I wonder if we can slowly watch his radicalization from liberal already turned conservative going even further. So I don't know. It's strange.
There's things to be critical of. I don't like being backed into a corner, but I said before, Trump's not that bad, right? It's you may be familiar with Flecka's talks. He would say Trump's bad, but he's not that bad, right? Now I agree with that 100%.
He agrees that Trump's bad. I think Trump's bad, but he's not that bad. And that's why I can sleep at night knowing I voted for him. Because he's not that bad.
Now I see this agenda list and I say, there's some bad things on it, but it's pretty good. It is pretty good.
It's fucking fascinating because I think if Tim Pool had a Democrat in office who was separating families, he would be a lot more fervent and angry. But since Trump's doing it, he can forget about it come election time. It's fascinating. He's not that bad.
I'll tell you what, man. At this point, considering all the riots, considering as insane as Democrats have been, I look at that list and I say, okay, fine. If Trump can get in, and if we can get in enough pro-Trump candidates to end to get our troops back from the Middle East, I will be very happy.
So as long as Trump can bring home troops, don't care. Don't care about anything else that he does. He can completely eliminate Medicare and Social Security, but as long as he brings those troops home. He could nuke Iran, but as long as he brings those troops home. I don't that was hyperbolic, but like honestly, it just sounds like that he can literally do no wrong in the eyes of Tim Pool as long as he can promise to end the endless wars, but still eradicate terrorism and COVID-19.
Very, very happy. If these other countries in Europe will pay their GDP share for our military to be over there, I'll be really happy. But I'm just also like, we shouldn't be the world police. I've never been a big fan of that. And if Trump can get through congressional term limits, I will be very happy. And for that, I think Donald Trump deserves my vote. You know what? I'm going to give you one final big, smack in the face on all of this. I watched Donald Trump's speech at the RNC today, and he was talking about Hillary Clinton. And he said, I'm not going to say a bad word because they're going to get mad at me. And I laughed. And I was like, the dude's attitude has improved. I love it. It was great. It was positive.
So he's also just stoked off the idea that Trump has done less ad hominem attacks. Very low bar. Like the fact that he's just like, at least he stopped calling Hillary names. What an improvement. But there were so many lies told in his speech that just Tim Pool doesn't see his lies. And again, here we are at the crossroads between a brick wall and a stone wall. Tight.
He's doing a good job. Look, over the past year, I have absolutely warmed to Donald Trump, and I think it's because he's been improving. The Joe Scarborough thing he did, man, does that sour me on his behavior. But I will tell you this right now, the agenda list has dropped. I've seen what he's all about. And without me even asking, Donald Trump tried to get our troops back in the Middle East. Normally,
what is he talking about?
I would not vote. I wouldn't. That's why I didn't do it in 2016, because I do not want to be involved in whatever stupid nonsense comes about when you elect someone. Because I've been there, done that.
This is the same. This is almost the same election, except it's more dire because we have to decide of whether or not we want 4 more years of just this. We've crossed the threshold, Tim, and what you're saying is to keep going in this deep, dark, orange abyss. Is there a dark
But I think
orange?
the Democrats are a
Can I
major
type that
threat
in?
right now. And while I've said many
Is there a
times
color
I
for
am
that?
not someone to vote against someone, My vote today is, for the most part, a vote against the encroachment of the far left extremism. And I have no problem saying it. It's gotten worse and worse and worse.
Funny.
So here I am.
If you type dark orange into Google, the second recommendation. Oh, I thought it said urine. Nope. Nope, urine dropped all the way down there. Alright, for the first time, I'm pretty sure it was urine. Now it says color. Why are you fucking with me? It was urine. Alright, whatever, man. It's still down there on the list, but I'm pretty sure the first one was urine the first time, but whatever. Alright. Joke ruined.
Formerly a liberal, voted for Barack Obama the first time, got mad about the wars, still support social policy, believe in a welfare program so long as they're administered properly. I'm pro-choice. I believe in a progressive tax system. I believe we absolutely need to tax the wealthy. I believe that what we need to do is create larger tax brackets beyond 250. Not raise taxes on people above 250 or 400, but create new brackets from like 400 to a million, from a million to 5, and 5 to 10. That's what I believe.
Why would you
And
create new brackets?
even though I've...
You know, if you create new brackets, you're going to have to either increase or decrease the rate depending on, like, the bracket, right? So then for some people who were at higher are going to pay a different tax rate than they are paying now. So, oh my God.
I've seen all these problems with, how the Democrats have run things.
Jesus.
My opinions on these things stay the same, but I will tell you this. Considering how awfully Democrats have run everything, I'm going to sit back for at least 4 years and see how the Republicans can do if they do win. Because the people that...
You know they've been in power for the past 4 years, right? You know that, right? This is the Republicans' America. So to say that the Democrats have run everything while the entire time a Republican president and a Republican Senate. Please, Tim, wake the fuck up. Because you're dreaming, bud.
that I normally would have selected failed miserably. And I look at these Democrat-run cities, and it's just awful. So I'll tell you what, Trump, have at it. Get them congressional term limits in. Drain the swamp of these cronies who run for 30 years and never get anything done. I am sick of it. And bring our troops back. And I'm going to be very, very happy. Fix our schools. Go for it. I've had enough of this. I've had enough. It looks like Trump is the best bet, at least as far as I can tell. You don't have to agree with me. You don't.
It's
By all means,
fascinating,
disagree. But let's have a conversation about it.
He's just so fed up with everything, and yet, it's because of the people, because of the Democrats. He was brought to the point of nausea because of the Democrats. It has nothing to do with the rhetoric that's been pushed at the evil Dems, right? It's been pushed so hard at this election cycle. It's all very fascinating. Tim Pool is a liar. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of more of his positions continue to change as, Trump's going to become he's going to be radicalized too as time goes on. Trump's going to have more and more power as time continues on. So I can imagine that Tim Pool is going to be following him pretty hard down that rabbit hole. But let's just acknowledge that within like the first 5 minutes of Trump's speech at the RNC, I believe, he said that if the crowd chanted 12 more years rather than 4 more years, they would hate it. The libs would just hate it. And I just want to leave y'all with that, because he plays it off as a joke, but we know we've heard this before. In fact, he posts that same meme on Twitter all the time. So he's not joking. He's preparing his base and his audience for the idea of him being in office longer than his term limit sets. And I will not be surprised the day that Tim Pool defends it. But hey, that's just TOX News, where we're completely unfair, unbalanced, biased, and utterly toxic. We know it, we just don't care. And thank you for joining me. If you didn't join me, how are you hearing this? That's it for me. C'est la vie. Hasta luego. Seize the day. Do something with someone else's life, not your own. Not your own. That's not within your power. I have been your host. Or have I?